All right, good evening. Let's go ahead and get this show on the road. Good evening and welcome to the 2022 State of the District Address, presented by Congresswoman Alma S. Adams, representative for North Carolina's 12th Congressional District. And good evening, my name is Jacinda Jacobs. I'm excited to be with you. It is an honor to welcome you. Yes, you, everyone from home, everyone who is in the safety and confines of their own space. We thank you so much that we moved this to a virtual space, but we want to officially welcome you to Congresswoman Adams' annual State of the District Address. So earlier today, the Congresswoman hosted the Building Our Future Infrastructure Town Hall. It was in Huntersville, and we heard from Mayor Rusty Knox of Davidson, Mayor Woody Washam of Cornelius, and Mayor Melinda Bales of Huntersville, and the impact federal infrastructure dollars have on the Charlotte area transit system, Charlotte Douglas International Airport, and North Carolina Department of Transportation. Tonight, we are broadcasting from the beautiful Halton Theater on the central campus of Central Piedmont Community College in Charlotte, North Carolina. Later, we will hear from our 4 remaining mayors in the district, who will join us during the program, as well as community stakeholders who share the impact that federal dollars have had on the community from their perspective. So we will have a question and answer portion towards the end of our program. And so if at any moment throughout the program you have questions, definitely utilize the chat feature on Zoom. We also have our 12th district staff that's on standby to answer any questions that you may have or any concerns that you may have. And it is our goal to get through as many questions as we possibly can tonight. So our theme for this evening, working together for America. We all want to ensure that every citizen, especially citizens of the 12th Congressional District, has the resources and opportunities needed to lead full, successful lives. We have a champion who fights for us each and every day in the halls of the United States Congress. Congresswoman Alma Adams has led the charge for resources and opportunities for this district. So this evening, as part of her annual community address, she will share highlights of the 117th Congress and address how working together for America benefits us all. So now let's go ahead and get started with a moment of prayer. We'll also have empowerment with Rabbi Judy Schindler. She teaches courses in Jewish studies, the Holocaust and social justice at Queen's University, and is the founding director of the Stan Greenspun Holocaust and Social Justice Education Center. Rabbi Schindler will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance and the National Anthem presented by the students from Northwest School of the Arts in Charlotte, a school that prepares our next generation of creative and artistic talent. Rabbi Schindler.
Today is International Holocaust Remembrance Day. This day, 77 years ago, Auschwitz was liberated. The Holocaust teaches us the dangers of dehumanization, prejudice, and anti-Semitism. The Holocaust teaches us the fragility of democracy, which we must be vigilant to protect each and every day. On one hand, today is a day of commemoration, and on another, it is a day for committing to be civically engaged. Our society needs every person watching this call, this program, to care about Congresswoman Adams' legislative work that impacts our collective children and grandchildren and future. God, source of life's gifts, we offer gratitude and honor to Congresswoman Adams and her staff who daily dedicate themselves to serving us and our community. We praise the work of Congresswoman Adams, a lifelong educator committed to fighting for equal education for all. She has been called the godmother of our country's HBCUs, a decades-long civic leader on a state level and national level, a mother and grandmother herself, who labors for maternal health for all who hope to bring new life into this world. Source of life and strength. We pray that you will grant long life and strength to Congresswoman Adams and her team. Pour out your blessings upon them and upon all those who work faithfully for the public good. May the fruits of their labors indeed be blessed. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Rabbi Schindler, for that inspiring prayer and encouragement. And now for the Pledge of Allegiance. And I want to ask you to join me in this. I know we have just a few people here from staff, but even you at home, don't leave me hanging here by myself. I realize that this is the first time I'm leading the Pledge of Allegiance on a microphone. So will you please stand? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now the national anthem.
2. Sing.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and our rockets bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the
You can probably hear us all clapping over here. Thank you so much to Northwest School of the Arts. How wonderful it is to showcase the talents of our young people in the 12th District. Special thank you to Superintendent Ernest Winston, Northwest Principal Melody Sears, and Assistant Principal Olitha Cuevas. And also special thank you to all of our Charlotte Mecklenburg school teachers and staff who are on the front line of education. We want to give you a very special thank you as well. So next we'll be hearing from Mr. Cody Kinsley, new appointed Chief Deputy Secretary for Health and DHHS for the state of North Carolina, Mecklenburg County Commissioners Chair George Dunlap, and Mayor Vilals of Charlotte, Mayor Jack Edwards of Pineville, Mayor Brad Simmons of Mint Hill, and Mayor John Higdon of Matthews.
Good evening. I am Cody Kinsley, Secretary of the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. Thank you, Congresswoman Adams, and all of you from North Carolina's 12th Congressional District for having me at your State of the District meeting this year. I am incredibly grateful for Congresswoman Adams' invitation, but also for her leadership and work to support the health and well-being of her constituents and all North Carolinians. We're lucky to have her working for all of us. Looking back on 2021, we were faced with a wide scope of challenges as we continued to combat the COVID-19 pandemic. This year was filled with much uncertainty, and I know we are all tired, but I have hope. We have made much progress, and we are in a much different place than we were last January, and certainly since the start of the pandemic. First and foremost, because of the life-saving, effective, and completely free COVID-19 vaccines. And while we have seen record high cases during this surge, hospitalizations have not increased at the same rate. Right before our eyes, we see the amazing power of these vaccines to protect us from severe disease leading to hospitalization and death. Our progress is because of your hard work. Thank each of you for working together for America, for sharing your story with one another about why you were vaccinated. You've protected yourself and you've protected your friends, families, and neighbors by doing this good work. You have helped save the lives of so many North Carolinians. You've protected our hospitals and you've kept kids in the classroom. And I still need your help. Please remind everyone to get up to date with your vaccine. If you're not yet boosted and you're eligible, don't wait. Since the beginning, my department has worked to establish meaningful partnerships with community members and organizations to ensure that we have the knowledge and resources to meet the unique needs of each community. We are dedicated. I am dedicated to meeting every North Carolinian where they are, going the extra mile, and keeping equity at the center of our work in improving the health and wellness of all North Carolinians. As we embark on 2022, I'm excited about the opportunity to serve the state as secretary, and together we will create change that will positively impact all North Carolinians. Please remember, get vaccinated, get boosted as soon as you're eligible, and wear a tight-fitting mask. On behalf of myself and the governor and all of my 20,000 colleagues at the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services, I want to thank all of you for your continued support, partnership, effort, and especially Representative Adams, thank you.
If you could unmute your line.
Well, good evening. Thank you, Congresswoman Adams, for giving me a few minutes to just share my appreciation for what you bring to Mecklenburg County. My name is George Dunlop, and I am the chairman of the Board of County Commissioners of Mecklenburg County, and I bring you greetings on behalf of my 8 colleagues and the 1.1 million citizens of Mecklenburg County. I just want to take a moment to share with you how blessed we are to have Congresswoman Adams to represent us in the Congress. This year has been especially difficult for many people in Mecklenburg County, and some of us don't understand just how helpful Congresswoman Adams have been to the citizens of Mecklenburg County. One of the things that I wanted to point out in particular was her impact in helping Mecklenburg County receive direct funding from the federal government. Some of you don't understand just how difficult that is. Oftentimes what happens is when money comes to Mecklenburg County, it gets funded through the state, which delays the period of time we have to act on those funds that we receive. I've spoken to Congresswoman Adams on a numerous occasions throughout the year, and she has been extremely helpful in helping us to navigate the system to make sure that those dollars came to Mecklenburg County as fast as they possibly could. I have appreciated having been a longtime supporter of Congresswoman Adams. I have appreciated her friendship. I have appreciated her welcoming me and the other commissioners to Washington to share with us about the work that she's doing, the work on prenatal care, the work that she's doing in helping those who are business owners be able to sustain themselves throughout this pandemic, as well as helping those who needed rental subsidies so that they could stay in their homes. I could go on and on and on and tell you about the work that Congresswoman Adams has provided to Mecklenburg County today, but I just simply say, Dr. Adams, thank you so much for what you are to Mecklenburg County, and thank you for representing us extremely well. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Mayor Vi Lyles, and I am proud to bring greetings on behalf of the 900,000 residents of Charlotte, North Carolina, the 15th largest city in the United States. We're a progressive and modern city, known as a business center for banking and financial technology, but we're also known as a center of innovation, a place that small businesses can start and take off. And we really appreciate all of the commerce in our community. We're a modern and progressive city. We're working hard on the priorities that are important to our citizens and our residents. We know that affordable housing is still a great need. We know that we need to continue to create great paying jobs. And we also know that we have to have a modern transportation system so that we can get people to move around our city, including our buses, our trains, sidewalks, bike lanes, and greenways. You know, what makes a difference is when we have a Congresswoman like Alma Adams to help us solve and work on the issues that we have and work on our priorities. So we are so grateful for her representation.
Hello, I'm Matthews Mayor John Higdon. Allow me to extend a warm welcome to Representative Adams. Matthews is known for our extensive offering of special events and first-rate parks and recreation amenities like the Sportsplex. Our historic downtown area has become a true destination with popular restaurants and shopping. Matthews is an inviting, friendly town with a strong sense of community. Here, our priorities include improving connectivity and walkability, preserving open space and creating new park space, improving the flow of traffic, and maintaining our small town charm that draws so many people here. We accomplish this by making smart planning decisions and properly managing the growth of our town. I'm looking forward to hearing about how we can work with our local, state, and federal government partners on these issues.
Special thank you for all of the hard work that you do on behalf of the citizens of North Carolina's 12th Congressional District. Dr. Alma S. Adams. She was first elected to Congress in 2014. For 40 years, Dr. Adams taught art at Bennett College. It was her passion as a concerned mother that led her to run for and ultimately win the election to the Greensboro City School Board. It is her commitment to quality education as a key right for all that continues to help drive her efforts to this very day. Congresswoman Adams has a unique perspective on the job she does in Congress. Having been a member of the school board, a member of city council, served 10 terms as a member of the North Carolina General Assembly, and now serving her 4th full term as a member of the United States Congress. Congresswoman Adams has dedicated her career to improving the lives of young people and her community, ensuring that citizens have what they need to live healthy, safe, and prosperous lives. Representative Adams serves on the Committee on Financial Services, Committee on Education and Labor, and the Committee on Agriculture, and is chairwoman of the Committee on Education and Labor's Subcommittee on Workforce Protections and vice chairwoman of the Committee on Agriculture. Please welcome Congresswoman Alma S. Adams.
Thank you, Lucinda. Thank you, everyone. Good evening and welcome to our annual State of the District Address. I'm Congresswoman Alma Adams, and I am so very proud to represent North Carolina, Mecklenburg County, and the city of Charlotte, and the towns of Davidson and Cornelius, Huntersville, Pineville, Matthews, Mint Hill, and in the U.S. Congress. I am delighted to be on the CPCC campus. My thanks to Madam President, Dr. Candy Dittmeyer, for her generosity and for hosting this event. I do bring you greetings tonight on behalf of the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, Majority Leader Steny Hoyer, Majority Whip Clyburn, Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, as well as Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, Chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, and 59 members of the Congressional Black Caucus, known as the conscience of the Congress. I'm honored that we are joined today by our Master of Ceremonies, Jacinda Jacobs, and thank you so much, Jacinda, and the talented students from Northwest School of the Arts. So let's give them another hand. Also with me tonight are members of my staff from the district office, my district director, Fanalfi Rue, other district staff, Sandra Brown, Kim Ratliff, Avery Bonifati, Sam Spencer, Briasha Buggs, Aisha Pratt, Helen McInnes, and Julian Holland. Thank you all for being here and for your work. And from my DC and staff, I have my Chief of Staff, John Christie, who will join us on Zoom shortly. My legislative analyst, Gordon Holzberg, who is here and will be participating tonight as well. So let me also thank the following folks for joining us this morning during the infrastructure town hall that we had earlier today. Cornelius Mayor Woody Washam, Huntersville Mayor Melinda Bales, Matthews Mayor John Higdon, Ebony Pittman, Deputy Secretary, and Bo Memory, Chief Operating Officer, both from the North Carolina Department of Transportation. Haley Gentry, Aviation Director for Charlotte Douglas International Airport. Allison Neely, American Rescue Plan Act Program Manager for Mecklenburg County. And John Lewis, CEO of Charlotte Area Transit System. And thank you as well to North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services Secretary Cody Kinsley, County Commissioner Chair George Dunlap, Rabbi Judy Schindler, Charlotte Mayor Lyles, and Matthews Mayor John Higdon, who joined us during this evening's program. Let's give them applause. My esteemed colleagues and our many county, town, and city officials who continue to work so diligently on behalf of our communities, thank you for your service. Service is the rent we pay. And thank you for stepping up to lead during unprecedented challenges, whether you're in Congress, whether you're on city council, or working on the ground to address the issues our community faces. Thank you for working together for America. Our entire community, especially our essential workers, our frontline healthcare workers, and the Mecklenburg County Health Department have all been on the front lines of this pandemic. Our educators and our teachers have had one of the hardest years ever because the pandemic has disrupted the routine and stability that our children need. Unfortunately, many of them are leaving teaching as part of the Great Resignation. The pandemic hasn't been the only challenge. From the Colonial Pipeline spill in Huntersville, the largest gas spill in North Carolina history, to asbestos remediation in Davidson and sewage discharges into Lake Norman in Cornelius, as well as a still unresolved ocular melanoma supercluster in North Mecklenburg has faced significant environmental and health issues. And that's before we talk about our work to make sure that Huntersville got its fair share of American Rescue Plan money. Charlotte continues to work to improve social mobility and to address the affordable housing crisis while trying to build a transit system that will serve our community, our economy, and the environment. And as we always have unexpected challenges, whether it's water, a main break affecting half of our community, or the tragic loss of Officer Goodwin in December. Our southern towns of Pineville and Matthews and Mint Hill continue to face the infrastructure and growth and traffic issues that have been a fixture of our community for years, from the South Carolina border to Lake Norman and beyond. These aren't partisan issues. They're not political issues either. They're issues that are best solved by working together for our community. Because all of these issues, I am proud to have supported and voted for the bipartisan infrastructure framework that was also supported by our senators, Senator Tillis and Senator Byrne, and signed into law by President Biden. It's just another example of how we're working together for America. As one of our most important legislative accomplishments of the 117th Congress, this bill provides necessary funding for infrastructure projects, including over $9 billion for our state and our community. But before I go too far, I'd like to thank my congressional staff for their hard work on behalf of the 12th District. And again, I want to thank you all for all of your work and for being here today. And whether it's securing passport renewals for our constituents or meeting with local stakeholders to develop legislative solutions, our North Carolina's 12 staff does great work. We're working together each and every day to serve our constituents, regardless of their zip code or their political leanings. Because no matter our differences, we are all Americans. And one of my proudest accomplishments so far in the 117th Congress is leading the bipartisan, bicameral Ignite HBCU Excellence Act with my Democratic colleagues, Chris Combs and Terry Sewell, and my Republican colleagues, French Hill, Tim Scott, and Mike Turner. This legislation, supported by over 180 of my colleagues across the political spectrum, would invest in educational and research infrastructure at historically Black colleges and universities, excuse me, as well as other minority serving institutions. As you all know, I love education. I taught at Bennett College in Greensboro, North Carolina for 40 years. And when I went to Congress, I kept on advocating for educators and for students. Higher education is one of my 4H priorities in Congress, along with hunger, housing, and healthcare. And as a member, excuse me, as a member of the Education and Labor Committee, I do this work every day. I'm happy to say that North Carolina has received billions of dollars from the School Emergency Relief Fund, from the American Rescue Plan that we passed last year. In fact, the total allocation for North Carolina was over $3.6 billion. Now, we received funding on March 24th of 2021 of over $2 billion. That was released to our state in September of 2021, another 1.2. As chair of the Workforce Protection Subcommittee, I've been vocal in calling for more protections for labor. And we scored big wins to keep North Carolina workers safe. The North Carolina Occupational Health and Safety Surveillance Program received $150,000. And as we face the cold of winter, our state received over $96 million to help families with heat and energy costs and to make cost-effective home energy repairs. So I'm proud of everything that we've done to support these efforts and to protect our families. Of course, the greatest crisis of the past 2 years, perhaps the greatest crisis of our lifetimes, has been the COVID-19 pandemic. Our nation has waged an unprecedented response to the COVID-19 pandemic, investing $20 billion to keep Americans safe and to establish a national COVID-19 vaccination program. And through these efforts, 60% of Mecklenburg County residents, or over 667,000 people, have been fully vaccinated. To support these efforts, to date, my office held 3 successful vaccination events. And yes, I'm vaxxed and I'm boosted, and I hope everyone else will do the same. Of course, healthcare goes beyond the pandemic. On December 7th, I attended the White House Maternal Health Day of Action. It was a summit hosted by Vice President Kamala Harris. And during this special event, I spoke about my landmark legislation, the Black Maternal Health Omnibus Act, which is a set of 12 historic bills that comprehensively addresses maternal morbidity and mortality in America. And as the co-founder and co-chair of the Black Maternal Health Caucus, I am continuing to focus on the social determinants of health outcomes, including education, job opportunities and income, access to nutritious foods, healthy environments, and of course, safe housing and safe neighborhoods. Last Congress, I joined the House Financial Services Committee, where I help oversee our nation's housing policy and the housing market. It's been an absolute joy to serve with Congresswoman Maxine Waters, who chairs that committee. You all know as well as I do how challenging the current housing market is, especially for first-time home buyers. The housing supply in our region is at its lowest level in 2 decades. Home prices are growing at the fastest rate in years. which is great if you're a homeowner, building equity and investing in your future. But it's a real problem for our young adults and low-income neighbors who are struggling to make ends meet. You know, I saw on WSOC earlier this month that rent has gone up almost 20% a year over year here in the Queen City. And that's not sustainable. And it's not fair that our neighbors should have to spend more and more of their hard-earned dollars just to put a roof over their heads, especially when you believe, as I do, that housing is a human right. We know that part of the problem is COVID. And that's why I've been at the forefront of securing rental assistance and in standing up for homeowners assistance fund. In the CARES Act and the American Rescue Plan, I helped to secure $1.3 billion for the emergency rental assistance. And those funds are administered by RAMP CLT, a public-private partnership that is administered by DreamKey, our community's housing partnership. And they've helped thousands of families here in Mecklenburg County to keep a roof over their heads and stay safe during this pandemic. The only way we're going to end this pandemic and truly get back to real life is by working together. And I'm so grateful for the support that we've received to help keep our neighbors safe. And so as we continue to grapple with the effects of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, the American Rescue Plan provisions to combat the hunger crisis have been a lifeline. It increased SNAP benefits, it extended the PEBT program, and it included over $537 million to cover the shortfalls in the Commodity Supplemental Food Program and the Emergency Food Assistance Program as well, which have been collectively provided, which has collectively provided our district with over 22.6 million pounds of food. Additionally, the American Rescue Plan provided additional financial support through the child tax credit. The child tax credit has been an essential tool for eradicating child poverty and hunger. According to the most recent Household Pulse survey, nearly 50% of families who received these payments reported spending them on food. After the first round of payments went out, economic hardships and hunger declined in households with children. Personally, I've worked to improve SNAP benefits for American families, and that work came to fruition this year when we changed the USDA rules to increase benefits. And between the Adams Hunger Initiative and my district office's work to support student food pantries at Charlotte Mecklenburg schools, we remain focused on helping at the local level as well. Now, this isn't a partisan event because I work for every person in our district, regardless of their political beliefs. But it is an unfortunate fact that some folks want to make voting a partisan issue. And I don't believe that. I believe that voting rights are fundamental to our democracy. I was born in the Jim Crow South. I attended North Carolina A&T in Greensboro during the Civil Rights Movement. I went to school in the shadow of the Greensboro Four and the many other A&T students and many who were here in Charlotte who led sit-ins that integrated the Woolworths counter there and other counters here. My contemporaries were beaten and bloodied and sometimes murdered for equal rights, including the right to vote. Because from 1877 until 1965, the year that I turned 19, almost every Black person in the South was denied the right to vote. My mother didn't even vote until I was a sophomore in college. And so it's hard to express how important voting rights are to me, how fundamental they are to the American experience. This isn't ancient history. This is my life. It's the lives of hundreds of thousands of Americans who still live among us, who are still here to tell the story of what it was like to face poll taxes and and literacy tests. People like me are effectively got the right to vote less than a lifetime ago. And one of the reasons it took so long was because white supremacists embraced the filibuster to effectively kill bills to advance civil rights. According to the Washington Post, from 1917 to 1994, half of the bills that were successfully filibustered in the Senate were civil rights legislation, and that included voting rights legislation. So when I see a member of the Senate, Democrat or Republican, say that preserving an instrument of segregation, the filibuster, is more important than guaranteeing our fundamental right in a democracy, it breaks my heart, because they haven't once made the effort to stand in my shoes or to wear my hat for a day. And if you doubt that voting rights are important, then we can respectfully disagree, but only if you make an effort to see the issue through the eyes of people who have fought and died for this right. Because too many times the price of the right to vote was paid in blood. And so, as I said, it's hard to express how important voting rights are to me. So when senators choose the filibuster over voting rights, it does break my heart. But what's more important is that it breaks our democracy. And we as Americans deserve better. We deserve a Senate that works for the American people. And finally, I want to close by talking about something that affects all of us locally, from Charlotte to Lake Norman, from Pineville to Cornelius, from Mint Hill to Huntersville, and Matthews to Davidson. Infrastructure. Heard a lot about it. Infrastructure. I cannot emphasize this enough. President Biden's bipartisan infrastructure law, it's law now, is transformational, not only for our nation, but especially for our state and for our community. North Carolina is receiving almost $9 billion in new funding, including over $7.5 billion to repair our roads and bridges, and almost $1 billion of public transportation projects. Now, we need all of that money here. I'm proud of the once in a generation investments that we're making in our community with this bill. That's exactly what we're doing. And as your Congresswoman, I promise you this: in me, you will always have a fighter in Washington who will help bring federal resources back home. You know, over the past year, I've been honored to host Vice President Kamala Harris, as well as 3 cabinet secretaries in our district. Now more than ever, it's important for us to work together for America. Not only the United States of today, but also the United States of the future. I'll continue to work alongside my colleagues in the House and the Senate, with my former colleague, Vice President Kamala Harris, and with our President, Joe Biden, to make sure that these priorities are addressed and that other key pieces of legislation are passed into law to move our country forward. Friends, there's still so much work to do. But if we work together, we can accomplish anything. And if enough of us work together, we can move our country forward. God bless you. God bless this county, the state, and God bless the United States of America. Now, I would like to introduce a video showing what we're doing in Washington and how it's helping our district, our city, and our county, and our towns.
Hello, I'm Haley Gentry, Chief Executive Officer for Charlotte Douglas International Airport, and I'm honored to bring greetings on behalf of the over 130,000 passengers who travel through our airport every day, as well as the 20,000 plus workers who come to work at CLT every day. Because of the American Rescue Plan, CLT received over $168 million in emergency funding to maintain operations and maintain our workforce. Additionally, the bipartisan infrastructure law will provide over $215 million over the next 5 years to help us with Destination CLT development program in maintaining and growing our world-class airport. Our priorities at Charlotte Douglas International Airport include serving as the economic engine of the Carolinas, facilitating the movement of people and goods, creating jobs in enterprise, and sustaining a higher quality of life, all while being self-sustaining. We're proud to work with our local, state, and federal government partners to grow a better and stronger airport.
Hello and good evening. I am Deborah Weeks, CEO of C.W. Williams Community Health Center here in Charlotte, North Carolina. On behalf of the board and staff, I would like to thank you for allowing us to participate in this auspicious occasion. To the Honorable Congresswoman Dr. Alma Adams, thank you. Thank you for your continued support and encouragement for C.W. Williams, for me, but more particularly for all of the FQHCs throughout North Carolina. Your hard work and your continued doggedness over ensuring the best possible quality care is delivered to all of the community residents here in Mecklenburg and surrounding counties is it's phenomenal. And so we thank you for the work that you did towards assuring that we receive the American Rescue Plan. We, in fact, did receive $640,000, which will allow us to continue to build opportunities for our patients, deliver the best possible quality, prevention, and primary care services. We are growing. We are very fortunate to sit here now in our lovely new building at 5800 Old Pineville Road. We are looking at continuing to grow, looking very much forward to renovating and rebuilding our old site, our mainstay at 333 Wilkinson Boulevard. I am so excited that with your support, we're able to accomplish these things. So thank you again on behalf of the board and staff, and we look forward to our continued partnership with the federal government and you and your wonderful dynamic team. Thank you again and have a great evening.
Hi, I'm Julie Porter, President of Dream Key Partners, and I'm thrilled to join you today from our Stevenson Apartments in Charlotte, North Carolina. Because of the American Rescue Plan and its Emergency Rental Assistance Program, Dream Key Partners received $93 million that we are using for rent and utility assistance for individuals and families who have housing insecurity caused by the pandemic. Our priority at Dream Key is housing stability and ensuring that low-income families who have lost a job, have childcare challenges, or maybe have a COVID illness don't lose their homes because of a sudden loss in income. We are proud to work with our local, state, and federal government partners to grow better and grow stronger.
Hello, I'm Carolyn Allison, CEO of the Charlotte Community Health Clinic, and I'm proud to join you from our Community Health Center in Charlotte, North Carolina. Because of the American Rescue Plan bipartisan infrastructure law, our facility has benefited from over $1 million in federal funding that goes directly to our mission for caring for individuals who are underinsured and uninsured. Our priorities with the funding include retaining staff and expanding our practice by opening 3 new clinic sites with our community partners. The 3 sites are: the first, Steve Smith Family Foundation is our community partner, and we'll be opening a same-day urgent care at the Steve Smith Family Wellness Center. The second, Our Bridge for Kids. This is an organization that serves immigrants and refugees. Our plan is to open a family practice clinic on their site. And the third is Thompson Child and Family Focus. This organization provides behavioral health services for children, and we are planning to open a pediatric clinic on their site. These 3 locations or new sites will be in East Charlotte. This is an area of high need for our community. We are so proud to work with our local, state, and federal government partners to grow better and grow stronger. Thank you for this time. And thank you, Representative Adams.
Hello, I'm Shanadia Montgomery, Executive Director of Caring, and I bring you greetings from both our team and the almost 8,000 patients who entrust us with their care each year. From our home here in Charlotte, North Carolina, CareRing has the privilege of providing accessible, affordable, and quality-driven healthcare to the underserved in our community. For nearly 7 decades, our trusted and well-respected organization has worked diligently to address health inequities that exist for underrepresented populations with a vision to promote, protect, and improve the health and well-being of all people. Through the bipartisan infrastructure law and the $215 million extended to our community, the next 5 years will surely be ones of promise and growth, as organizations like ours will be better equipped to navigate the continued challenges our families face amidst our ongoing pandemic. We fully understand and wholeheartedly receive the responsibility that we're charged with daily, and we are excited to look forward to the future, forward to collaborations, thoughtful programming, and synergies made possible with the funds extended. It is through that collective action and partnership with our local, state, and federal government that we can make progress with addressing the current and historical issues that plague so many of our deserving neighbors, such as the continued maternal child health crisis with women of color and the lack of access to health care for our uninsured. Thank you for investing in the creation of a path by which we can travel to rescue, recover, and reclaim those most in need.
Hello, I'm Mayor Melinda Bales, and I'm honored to bring greetings on behalf of the Town Board of Commissioners and the 61,376 residents who call Huntersville, North Carolina home. Her help worked to secure $16.8 million in federal and state funds through the American Rescue Plan Act for our community. For this work, we are truly thankful. Huntersville's priorities continue to be our commitment to smart and sustainable growth, addressing infrastructure needs, and ensuring that Huntersville's quality of life remains at the forefront of our decision-making.
Please put your hands together. I believe there's so many positive stories, so much ground covered, so many lives positively changed and impacted. And thank you so much to all who are really on the ground and in the field, making our city, our state, and even our nation better. It's amazing to hear firsthand how Congresswoman Adams' efforts at the federal level are really positively impacting us here in the district. So we thank you so much for that. We want to move on to our question and answer segment. At this time, I want to toss things over to Mr. John Christie. This is Congresswoman Adams' DC-based Chief of Staff. John?
All right, thank you, Jacinda, and thank you to all of our attendees this evening. We have now reached the question and answer portion of our program. This is your opportunity to ask Congresswoman Adams and our team any questions related to her work in Washington and its impact on our community. To ask a question, please utilize the Q&A function in the Zoom. A few of you have already done so. We have a limited amount of time tonight, so we unfortunately won't be able to get to every question. But if your question is not answered, you are encouraged to follow up with us by contacting our office. Contact information will be given at the end of this evening's program. So Congresswoman, are you ready to hear from the community?
I am absolutely ready, John, and I have brought Mr. Holzberg, who is my analyst in Washington. He came up to help us out, and I'm so happy. Gordon is also from this area, so he is a North Carolinian, and we're happy to have him, and he's going to join to make sure that we get all of the questions answered. And just so, I think people are putting the questions in the chat. And we have staff, all of my DC ledge team is on, and so your questions will be answered. Either we're going to answer them here or you'll be getting your answers on the chat. So thank you. We're ready to go, John.
All right, let's get started. So we have a few folks who have written in about Build Back Better. And they have different questions related to the bill, different items that they're concerned about. The first one is about the child tax credit. As folks may know, the child tax credit did expire at the end of December. The question is there any possibility on this getting passed on a permanent basis?
Well, let me say that the child tax credit and a lot of the things that we were have proposed in the Build Back Better will certainly help build our communities and our families back. The tax credit has been absolutely essential. It has really helped families, particularly as we've been in this pandemic. I can tell you that members of Congress have been talking and want to extend it. We want it to be permanent. It needs to be. The pandemic seems to be permanent right now, but we need to make sure that people have what they need, that they can continue to take care of their families. And the child tax credit is very, very popular. And it goes across the board. It is not a partisan issue. Children belong to parents who are both Democrats, Republicans, and independents. Some have no affiliation at all. But yes, we're working to make it happen. We can't, again, we need to have you continue to lobby your members of the House and the Senate in particular. And we're going to do the very best that we can do to ensure that the money continues to come. Yes, it was, I think December was the last date, Gordon. Is that right, Gordon?
Yes,
Did you
ma'am,
want to
that's
add
correct.
something?
Congresswoman, I just wanted to say exactly what you said. The child tax credit was one of the most effective implements in history for cutting child poverty, over half. The payments to parents across the nation made a significant difference in the ability of those who need the most among us to provide for the youngest among us.
Great. All right. John?
All right, thank you. Next question about the BBB. It's about drug pricing reform. The constituent would like to know, what is your position on drug pricing reform and its inclusion in BBB? And I think we have Christopher DeVore, our legislative director and health policy staffer, available as well to help answer that question.
Okay, Christopher is the expert on health, but let me tell you that I have 4 H's that are priorities that I work on, and health is one: health, housing, higher education, and hunger. All of those H's impact our district and our county to a great degree. As a matter of fact, the numbers were extremely high well before the pandemic, and of course they have exacerbated. So health is an issue. It's personal to me as well. I grew up without health care. We went to the emergency room to see that was our doctor. I had a sister who was sick with sickle cell anemia, died at age 20, before she was 27. And so all of these issues are very personal. And I think if you have a personal contact, I think you'll work harder at trying to make a difference. So I'm gonna let Christopher, are you on?
Yes, Congresswoman, I'm here. Hi, folks.
You want to add to that?
Yes, I think it's important to recognize that drug prices are high. There's just in Medicare alone, with the new Alzheimer's drug that's coming out, that is increased or pledged or threatened to increase premiums on our seniors just by introducing that new novel drug to address Alzheimer's. And so what the Build Back Better Act tried to do, and what the Congresswoman here supports, is finding a way to make sure that we're lowering costs for our seniors and for everyone else as well. And so the bill took a stab at trying to get rid of the by empowering the Secretary of HHS to negotiate drug prices under Medicare Part D and B. Those drugs would be subject to negotiation for a higher price and been on the market without competition for several years. So that includes like small molecular drugs and 13 and for biologics. The Secretary also would address insulin prices. Insulin is a necessary part of life for so many diabetics. And if you don't have it, or if you're rationing it, that is a dangerous position to be in, and lives will be lost. And so that caps the cost on insulin to, I believe, $35. It also disincentivizes companies from unfairly raising prices on patients by requiring companies to raise its drug prices faster than the rate of inflation. And on top of that, the bill set a cap on how much patients can pay. It's $2,000 cap on how much patients can pay out of pocket for prescription drugs. And so all of these things are in the bill in an attempt to make sure that if you need medication, you can afford it, it's available. And so that is certainly an area that we need to continue working on. As you know, the Build Back Better Act is still under negotiation. The Congresswoman is working to make sure that bill can continue to move forward.
Thank you, Christopher. It's really important that we really put health at the top of the list, because without your health, nothing else is going to matter. And as I said, I didn't have it. And being a diabetic myself, I'm not on insulin, but I am on medication. I know how important and how costly all medications are. And so we want to try to make sure that people can afford it, that they don't have to make a decision between having a meal in their home or being able to take their medication. So thank you, Christopher. John?
All right, thank you. So our next question, we actually have two questions that are about HBCUs. And one is actually from Dr. Clarence Armbruster, who is the president of Johnson C. Smith in Charlotte.
In my district here, in the 12th district, JC, SU.
Ma'am. So I will combine these two questions. They're both about HBCU funding. One question is, how much money is going to HBCUs via the infrastructure bill? Also, how has COVID impacted HBCUs? And based on what's happening with HBCU funding in these different packages, what does that mean for your bill, Ignite?
Thank you, Dr. Armbruster, for your question, and thank you for your support and service to our students and the great university here, Johnson C. Smith. I'm an adopted Golden Bull, and I'm happy to be one. You see, I'm still wearing the Golden Bull colors today. But let me just thank you for all of your work and support for our HBCUs. I really wish I could tell you exactly how much money is in the proposed bill for HBCUs. There was $2 billion, I think it was, that went to HBCUs, that was put in there for HBCUs and MSIs. In addition to that, of course, we had additional funding coming from other sources. And so we're still negotiating Ignite. Let me just say we're up to almost 180 co-sponsors on the bill. It is a bill that we think everybody likes. Certainly our campuses, our colleges and universities, like all 102 of them across the country, will benefit. I believe, and I have always believed, that infrastructure is a tremendous need on the campuses of HBCUs. I worked on one for 40 years. I was educated on one. I've been to most of the campuses across the country, not all over 100, but I intend to try to do that. So we're going to be working to make sure that we get substantial funding for that, and that we can get this bill marked up and actually voted on. In the meantime, I think we can look at the other sources or appropriations throughout the budget, and I'm gonna let Gordon make a couple comments about that. I think we've got to, we've talked a lot about trying to get rid of some of the student debt I have. I think that that's one thing that we can do and should do. And I know we've delayed the payments, but I think if you look down the road, if you don't have the money today, you're probably not going to have it 3 or 4 months from now. So I think we really need to do something about getting rid of that. But Gordon, can you step in here for just a moment?
Yeah, absolutely, Congresswoman. Thank you. To Dr. Armbruster, to your first point, how much money is being secured for HBCUs in the bills right now? In the infrastructure bill that was just passed, unfortunately, there's no money for HBCUs. In the Build Back Better plan, however, the Congresswoman has been at the forefront of negotiations to secure billions of dollars. In the first draft of the bill, there was about $3.5 billion offered. The Congresswoman mustered the strength of the Congress and the Congressional Black Caucus and successfully advocated for an additional $6 billion. That's almost up to $10 billion for historically Black colleges and universities and other minority serving institutions. But also to the point that the Congresswoman made earlier, She worked at an HBCU for 40 years. She didn't have air conditioning in your classroom for the first 30 of those years. That was into the 21st century. Unlike any other member of Congress, Congresswoman Alma Adams knows what HBCUs need. That's why at the start of the 117th Congress, she convened a bipartisan, bicameral working group of legislators to draft the Ignite HBCU Excellence Bill. Her legislation would be the most transformative bill this century for historically Black colleges and universities, which would allow them to invest in infrastructure, research equipment, new laboratories, dormitories, and more. That bill that she's been spearheading, she's working on every single day for the past 1.5 years now. To that point, we still maintain confidence in our ability to get this done. Republicans and Democrats. Republican members like Tom Tillis, Lindsey Graham, and Tim Scott are joining progressive members like Ayanna Pressley and Maxine Waters. Everyone across all sides of the aisle knows that this is a priority and that we need to invest in our schools.
I think, Dr. Armbruster, also another part of that question had to do with the impact on our students. And clearly we recognize that our schools were not as prepared. And matter of fact, not just HBCUs, other universities and colleges as well. When the pandemic came, students were on the campus and they had to be sent back home and to work virtually from home. Many of our young people do not have and did not have the broadband necessary. So the schools had to invest, I guess you call it robbing Peter to pay Paul, because this was not expected. And so they had to do what they had to do to make sure that students could still be educated. And so we recognize that, and even with the Build Back Better, that we have, even with the BIF, and that is the infrastructure plan, there are substantial funds there for broadband, which means that in that particular way, our campuses, our communities all will benefit in terms of improving broadband so that the connectivity can be there. You can have all the equipment that you want, but if you can't connect, it's not going to do you much good.
Can I add one thing,
Sure,
Congresswoman?
go right ahead.
I think it's also really important to note, Dr. Armbruster as well, that the Congresswoman helped lead the bipartisan HBCU caucus to secure a $1.6 billion debt relief from the capital financing program. That's one of the most significant investments in our HBCUs that the Congress has ever made. And that happened as a result of Dr. Adams' advocacy.
Thank you, Gordon. And let me just put in one plug for the Futures Act, which actually was passed during the last Congress and the last president. But it provides $255 million to our HBCUs and MSIs. And this is permanent funding. 86 million of those dollars go to our historically Black colleges and universities. So we've got some other things that we've done prior to this Congress, and but we want to. But really, when you go back to 1837, when the first HBCU came online, and the fact that we have not gotten the funding, I mean, we're just going to be real about it. It has been inequitable. We haven't gotten what we should have gotten. In some cases, we didn't get anything, and so we're now trying to make up for some of that to make sure that each and every student has an opportunity to the education that they need and want.
All right. Thank you, Congresswoman. Thank you, Gordon. So I've been told that we only have time for one more question, which is a shame because there are so many good questions that folks have asked tonight. But like I said before, if you have asked a question, your question will be answered. We will make sure that we get an answer to you once we are done this presentation today. So the last question, and this is a question that we've actually gotten a couple of times here. It relates to what private citizens can do to help pass some of this legislation that we've discussed tonight. Build Back Better, the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. What can private citizens do to ensure that those bills, legislation that folks really care about, that they need, make sure those bills get passed.
Well, let me just say, I think the thing that we need to do is to make sure that we connect with our members, the members of Congress, whether they're in the US House or the US Senate. Somebody's going to make a decision for and about us, most times without us. So it's so important that either you get into the position that I'm in so that you can make those decisions on the inside, from the inside out, or you should always be able to control those of us who make those decisions on your behalf. And of course, if we don't hear from you, then we don't know. If we hear from you and we don't do the right thing, then you have a responsibility when the next thing comes around, and you know what I mean there. But let me just say, tweet, text, email, however you communicate. And it does not have to be just with your member of Congress, and it should not just be, because your member of Congress also has to lobby other members to get support for the legislation. It is really a shame that we are still today, after all of these years, talking about not having voting rights. I mean, that is the basis and everything that underpins our democracy, because that's going to help us do all the things that we say we need to do, but you have to have the people in the right places to do it. So you have a responsibility to make sure that they hear from you. So write your letters, tweet, text, all of those things, whatever you're on, Snapchat, anything, all of those things that will help you to reach a member of Congress. And you know, you can call your local district, wherever it is you live, your local representative, call the local office, because one of the things we do, we document the calls that come in. And you get enough calls coming in from constituents, then you know that you need to get something done. So that's the thing that I think you can do. If you get an opportunity to visit your Congress persons, then do that. And also think about talking to your state legislators who may live and work right in your community, because we do interface with them as well. So I would say make sure that communicate.
Amen to that. All right. So we have reached the end of our program tonight. But before we officially wrap, I'm going to turn it back to Congresswoman Adams to give some closing remarks.
Well, thank you, John, and thank you to all of the folks who are tuning in tonight. Hopefully the next time we have the state of the district meetings and address, etc., that we'll be able to meet face to face. But we also want to make sure that when we can't do that, that we can still provide an opportunity to face off with you so that we can hear your concerns. If you put your question in chat, as John has said, in the chat, then your questions will be answered. My staff is online right now, and they are responding to those. John, I want to thank you for your work and for service tonight to our master of ceremony for this evening, Miss Jacinda Jacobs. Thank you so very much. You did a great job keeping us on schedule, moving the program along. I have, as I've said, one office in 2 locations. And so once again, I want to thank my staff for their hard work on behalf of the district. And as always, if you have a concern or an issue with a federal agency, give my district give my district office a call at 704-344-9950. I think they're going to put it on the screen. My district director, Finalfi Rue, and the team are available to assist. And if you like your voice heard on federal legislation, then we got to hear from you. So the contact information we're putting up for you. Thank you again for all of our program participants. You were fantastic. I appreciate knowing exactly what you're doing with the money. That lets us know that not only is it benefiting our community, but that you're doing great things, and it's really benefiting so many people who need that help. So we got to continue to work together for America. Somebody once said that a community can only grow great when old men and old women plant trees under which we know we'll never sit. I'm going to keep planting. Thank you so much. God bless and good night.